Hey everyone, there's been a huge development today. It's January 15th, 2026. Ignore the board behind me because that was for a different video. I was actually shooting when this popped across my desk and I'm like, I need to cover that. And the most important thing you absolutely can't forget is if you'd like to help support the channel directly, the best way to do that is shop at Only Tech Fans at Shopify.com. As everyone knows, I'm permanently demonetized from YouTube, and that is how I pay the bills right now. So thank you for those of you that have already been there and those of you that are going to go there. I really do appreciate it. That does help out a lot. All right, so what bombshell are we talking about here? Basically, there's this 100-year-old federal law, right? It bans civilians from being able to ship handguns. Now, it's weird because, so it's kind of this gray area, right? Like for the United States Post Office, because sometimes you have to ship one. Like, for example, when I had a squib round in my FNX 45 Tactical, the barrel bulged out, I had to ship that to FN to get them to take it apart and do the repair. I was basically illegally shipping it. Like I said, it's this gray area because federally, you're not allowed to. This goes back to 1927. So it was this prohibition blocking concealable firearms. Essentially, preventing Americans from shipping anything like revolvers, sawed-off shotguns, or anything like that, right? So now the DOJ is saying, we're not going to enforce this anymore. Now, obviously, this is still protected firearms. It gets a little weird with NFA items, but the point is if you try to ship a PMF, privately manufactured firearm, or a stolen firearm or something like that, you're not protected. They will absolutely still prosecute you. But any protected firearm, should this come across their desk, they're being instructed to ignore it. So stick around, we're going to break it down step by step exactly what's going on and what led to this and why it matters and what's coming next. If you're a gun owner, this could change how you buy and sell firearms or repair them or even trade them. First, let's go back to how this all started in 1927. Congress passed one of the very first gun control laws, which actually, I didn't know about that. So I actually thought in 1934 was the first gun control law. You know what? You learn something new every day, and we're learning together, and learning's fun, so let's have fun together. So one of the very first gun control laws happened in 1927. Again, I thought federally the first one was 1934, so I'm learning something. It made pistols and revolvers and firearms that are easily concealable illegal to basically mail USPS. Sure, for the government officers, military, law enforcement, and licensed dealers, they can do it because, you know, forget the 14th Amendment. We're going to do what we want, and we're going to tell you what to do. It's basically how it went. For everyday Americans, felony. Bam! Charged up to 2 years in prison and a $250,000 fine. Obviously, that's worst case scenario. That's usually repeat offenders and stuff like that, but you could very well. Like, for example, count 1, which was the count that leans over all my charges, was a max of 5 years, and I got 5 years, and I'm a first-time offender. It's usually not what happens, but it can happen. All right, so if you own a handgun and you want to ship it to a family member, gunsmith repair, crossing state lines, for example, say you have a connecting flight that goes through New York and your handgun violates some New York law, they were actually prosecuting people for having a firearm on, like, you put it on the plane, you check it in. When they landed in New York, TSA was like, hey, just so you guys know, this firearm in this particular box doesn't apply to their law. So then the New York people walk over there, pull that box out, bam, go and arrest the guy for just taking a connecting flight. So pretend you're going to take a connecting flight through New York and your firearm violates their laws. Yeah, I don't think they're doing it right now currently, but just to avoid that whole situation, it's easier to just mail it to your end destination, right? Well, you couldn't do that until now. And all this came out of the whole 19s, 20s crime wave hysteria with all that stuff. Basically, the Democrats got office in the 30s. So in the 20s, they ramped up the hype and the fear. And they're like, hey, you guys are all going to die unless you vote Democrat. And this was part of that, right? And so they started pulling laws and doing stuff like that. And this was one of the things they did to show that, hey, when you put us in presidency, we can change these things and we can make you safer. So now fast forward today. Carriers like USPS, FedEx, DHL, a lot of places still won't touch handguns. You'd have to talk to them and look through their policies because sometimes they'll do it, but you got to have a stipulation on it. Like I believe USPS is like, hey, you have to declare it's a handgun, or maybe that's backwards. Maybe they're like, you can't declare it's a handgun and you have to send it priority. It's one way or the other. I haven't shipped a handgun through USPS since 2011. Yeah, that's crazy thinking back how far it was. But I think that's what it was. Like, they were basically like, hey, you can't tell us it's a handgun, and you have to ship it priority. So that's until now. So where did this game changer come from, you may be asking? It actually came out of the GOA. They used the Bruen decision, which dropped in 2022, stating that there's no more balancing test, right? What we're looking at here is the firearm protected by the Second Amendment. If the firearm is protected by the Second Amendment, shall not be infringed. Bottom line. If it is questionable if it's protected by the Second Amendment, you have to go back to the founding of the Second Amendment and find some sort of history and tradition saying that that firearms regulation can stay in place. Well, when the GOA sued and everything got going, I'm not sure really what it's called, the Attorney General, no, the whole new Civil Rights Department, right? They did a preemptive strike. Now, I may be screwing this up a little bit, but essentially, so they sued, and instead of letting this go to the Supreme Court, the DOJ was basically like, you know what we're going to do? We're just going to take that regulation off the books. It's not like we're going to remove it, but what we're going to do is not enforce it. So this does have the possibility of being reversed at a later administration, but for right now, that's pretty cool, because it's another sign that, hey, the current administration is pro-Second Amendment. And let's be real, having a restriction on mailing a firearm does affect the Second Amendment. That stops your ability to be able to buy and sell firearms, help keep things out of the government's greasy little fingers, because really the best way to do it before was go down to your local dealer, have them log it in their FFL book, ship it to the gunsmith or wherever you're going to ship it, and then you have to pick it up from an FFL again, then you have to do another 4473, making this super huge paper trail where all the firearms are, specifically for handguns. Well, now the ability to be able to ship them without an FFL, now you can start to break up the paper trail, because there's no reason for a paper trail. The only reason to have a paper trail on firearms is to create a registry and ultimately a confiscation. A paper trail will never stop crime whatsoever in any way, shape, and form. It actually creates crime. So it doesn't prevent, it creates crime. And I honestly believe that, yeah, this was a good move when it comes, well, I believe in the Second Amendment and shall not be infringed, so any firearms registry or any sort of firearms restriction at all, I don't agree with, but removing my beliefs off the table and looking at it from a practical standpoint, I do believe that generally speaking, the public would accept something like this. Yeah, there's going to be the fringe 20% or whatever that's going to cause a big stink and be like, oh, there's going to be gang violence everywhere and blood in the streets. But they're the fringe. That's not how the general public speaks. They're the loud minority, unfortunately. So I'm going to start by thanking AmmoLand and John Crump for sending me this story. I do appreciate it. You should definitely check them out if you haven't before. And what does this mean for you? Like, realistically. Not right now. It's a little too soon. I'd let things iron out first. But very, very soon, you should be able to safely, lawfully send a handgun to wherever you want. Now, there's going to probably be rules and exceptions to this. We'll have to see how things pan out. Obviously, the anti-gun people are going to raise a stink, so they're probably going to have to back it back just a little bit. But this is a good thing. It's going to remove laws that do nothing but create criminals. They don't prevent crime, they create crime. So that's pretty awesome. And you got to remember, too, the carriers usually expand on it. Yeah, it's only for handguns, but they're like, you know what? I don't want to touch firearms, period, because I don't want to get roped into some sort of public humiliation / cancel culture thing because we mailed a firearm, right? And they're always going to twist it up and be like, oh, it says firearms, and they're going to leave out the part that, no, it says concealable firearms. So most carriers just avoid doing any sort of private transfers, and it's going to be nice to have that removed because it just makes things more fluid. Why have these restrictions? Now, ammunition is still an issue because Obama turned ammunition to explosive, so there's still a bunch of hazmat rules on it. Hopefully that goes away because that's retarded. Ammunition is not an explosive because explosive hazmat is supposed to be for high explosives only, and gunpowder is an explosive, but it's a low-grade explosive. Anyways, we'll just have to wait and see how this all pans out, but this is a good thing. And it does show that, hey, maybe the administration is a little bit pro-gun. If you'd like to help support the channel directly and you don't want to shop at only tactical fans at Shopify.com, there are other ways you can do it. One of the best ways is going down to the affiliate links and click on my Amazon affiliate link. Even if you won't buy what that particular link is for, just clicking on it. Doing the Amazon shopping you're already going to do anyway, I get a little kickback for it because you came there off my channel. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.